Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to this webinar on sustainable supply chains through the lens of Sustainable Development Goals. We appreciate all of you joining us today. The objective of this webinar is to learn about how sustainable supply chains can contribute to the SDGs and to obtain practical guidance on how to achieve the objectives of the SDGs with sustainable supply chain practices. So we've got some great speakers lined up for today's webinar, but before I do introduce them all, I just wanted to go over a few quick practical items. So we have around an hour for this. If we do overrun, we'll have to take some questions after the hour as well. For the Q&A, we ask that participants write their questions in the question panel here, and we'll pick them up and read them out at the end of the presentations. But please feel free to pose your question during the presentation as well, and we'll make a record of it. Also, if you're having any technical difficulties, please do let us know by typing in the question pane or by raising your hand, and we'll try and address the issue. Just for your information as well, we will be recording the webinar. We'll be sharing the recording and the slide deck in PDF format with all registrants to the webinar, and we'll also be posting these resources on the UN Global Compact website. So my name is Anita Hauser. I'm Senior Manager at the UN Global Compact, and we, as mentioned, have some great speakers with us here today. I will not go into too much detail about their background and their organizations. I will leave that up to them. But first we will be hearing, after my session, we'll hear from Luis Coppola, co-founder of GNA Institute and board member of the Global Sourcing Council, who we're co-hosting the event with today. Then we'll hear from Paul Dougal, who's the Corporate Development Vice President at Grupo ASA, the Argentinian software and computer services company. And following Paul, we'll have Bobul Gupta, who is the Head of Social Innovation at Greyston, America's oldest leading social enterprise, practicing open hiring for sustainable job creation. After the presentations and before the Q&A, we'll have some special remarks made by Mirjana Milic from the UNDP and the Secretariat of the Sustainable Procurement in the Health Sector Task Team to also demonstrate how the SDGs can be put into practice. But before we begin, I just wanted to give a little bit of a brief overview of why this webinar, why the SDGs, and why the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The UN and its member states agreed that urgent action needed to be taken by all stakeholders to improve the lives of everyone everywhere by eliminating extreme poverty, fighting inequality and injustice, and by protecting our planet. So I'm sure most of you are familiar that the SDGs were approved in September of last year by unanimous consent of all 193 UN member states. And the SDGs, the 17 SDGs, cover human needs, environmental challenges, good government, and productive economies that will help eliminate poverty. Also, what's unique with the SDGs are that they are universal in scope, applying to developed and developing worlds alike, and to all of us. And they occur in a moment when business, for the first time, is broadly perceived to be a central player. Sustainable supply chain practices are a practical pathway to contributing to the achievement of the SDGs. The fact of the matter is that many companies' most significant impacts, whether they're negative or positive, on the environment and society occur in the supply chains. As supply chains have grown in scale and complexity over the last few decades, so have the opportunities for companies and organizations to promote human rights, improve labor conditions, protect the environment, and support ethical business conduct. There's a real opportunity for companies here and organizations to scale up their sustainability efforts by implementing them in the procurement practices and throughout the supply chains, and hence advancing the SDGs. Now, the UN Global Compact brings the business voice to the SDG process. As the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative and founded on its 10 universally accepted principles on human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, the UN Global Compact offers a unique platform for implementing the SDGs through, for instance, its partnership hubs, platforms and programs, including supply chain sustainability, its over 80 local networks all around the world, and its multi-stakeholder participant base. And we also have a number of tools and resources to help companies with advancing the SDGs. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the key ones here, but we have a series of others. The first one mentioned here, we launched a couple of years ago, the Business Engagement Architecture, which provides a framework for engagement between government, business, civil society, business associations, investors, etc. Then in the middle here, you can see the SDG Industry Matrix, which helps to showcase brief industry-specific examples and ideas for corporate action related to each SDG. Also, we have the SDG Compass, which you see the link to as well there, which we urge you all to go and visit. It's a toolkit which helps guide companies on how they can align their strategies, as well as measure and manage their contribution to the realization of the SDGs. The toolkit helps companies understand the SDGs, define their priorities on these efforts, help with their goal setting, and how to integrate sustainability into core business. It also gives them advice on reporting and communication, and also includes an inventory of resources. And just before I pass it on to Lou, I just wanted to highlight some key activities from the UN Global Compact side this year to help promote the SDGs. You'll see here, for instance, a leadership summit that's taking place now in June, 22nd, 23rd of June, which is the first time since the adoption of the SDGs that the business will be convening together with the UN and other stakeholders to address how these can be implemented. Also, wanted to mention that we partner with the Principles for Responsible Management Education to help mobilize students and young innovators in support of the 2030 Agenda, and also that we collaborate with the Principles for Responsible Investment to engage financial innovators. So this is truly a time where all stakeholders are getting together to help eradicate poverty. So with that, oh, actually, sorry. So also just wanted to bring your attention to our supply chain sustainability website, which gives you access to various good practices, initiatives, and programs on supply chain sustainability. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Lou with your presentation. So it's over to you, Lou. Just let us know when you want us to change the slides.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody to part of our GSC's special 17-week 17 SDGs initiative special webinar partnered with United Nations Global Compact, focused on the SDGs and supply chains. Next slide. The Global Sourcing Council is a nonprofit focused on the mission, which is to transform the world where companies pursue profit with purpose. We believe that the P in profit should stand for purpose. We were established in 2007, advancing the cause of sustainable and socially responsible sourcing practices. We have a community of over 20,000 members, and we reach over 100,000 eyeballs around the world with our messages. We're a member of the UN Global Compact, and you can find out more about us at gscouncil.org. Next slide. We do this through several different methods. We have different conferences and symposia, publications, newsletters, social media. We advocate best practices in sustainable development. We have several professional development leadership programs like our SEAL Bootcamp. And we publish research and publications which are focused on sustainable development, especially in the supply chain sourcing and procurement. Next slide. This webinar is part of our GSC 17-week 17 SDGs initiative. The mission of this initiative is to educate, enable, and inspire alignment with the SDGs in the supply chains, sourcing, and procurement area. Next slide. In GSC 17-week 17 SDGs initiative, we are going from March 7th, which started with SDG 1, through the week of June 27th with SDG 17. We focus on one SDG for each week for 17 weeks, and through this program, through our newsletters, our partners, our web pages, our social media, we reach, like I said, over 100,000 eyeballs with this information. We're providing each week tools and resources for aligning business with that SDG, examples of leaders taking action on that particular SDG, NGOs which are focused on the actual underlying issue for that SDG, examples of 3S Awards participant videos, which are aligned with the particular SDG in focus for that week, and I'll tell you a little bit more about 3S Awards in the slides to come. And we have a webinar series as part of this program as well, which this is a part of. You can find out more and sign up for this on our website at GS Council if you want to be gscouncil.org if you want to stay up to date on our 17-week 17 SDGs initiative. We'd appreciate that, and we look forward to communicating with you more about that. Next slide. So I think we went over this a little bit. What are the SDGs? 193 world leaders committed to the UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development on September 25th, 2015. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which have 169 underlying targets. They took effect in January 1st, 2016, and they replaced the Millennium Development Goals. These goals will be around until 2030. Next slide. This is, you've seen this, I think, on the last deck. So these are the 17 SDGs. These are the overlying goals. There are 169 targets underneath these. And if you'd like to learn more, again, reach out to us. Join our 17-week 17 SDGs initiative. Next slide. The SDGs, this is a little bit different than the MDGs because we've explicitly called on business to apply their creativity and innovation to help solve these sustainable development challenges. In this case, the business and community has been heavily involved in the creation of the SDGs and will be required to meet these goals. And there are several different advantages that companies that do align their mission, their strategies, their sustainability programs with the SDGs that they can leverage. And you can learn more about that in the 17-week 17 SDGs initiative. Next slide. The 2015 GSC3S Awards. This is our program where we recognize small to medium-sized supplier organizations with highly impactful environmental, social, or governance impacts. They have a social enterprise model which is self-sufficient and can be scaled up. We're going to do this again in the third quarter of 2016 at the United Nations. We welcome organizations to submit their video and application to be recognized. We're going to align the categories this year with somewhat with the SDGs. The two guest speakers today from Grupo ASA and from Greyston were both involved with this awards. You can find out more again at our website. Next slide. We're putting together now what we call the GSC Impact Ecosystem, where we're bringing together large purchasing organizations, impact-focused financial institutions, and the micro to small, medium-sized impactful sourcing organizations to discuss how to create a system where we can motivate more sustainability through supply chains around the world through financial structures and relationships between large purchasing organizations and smaller impactful sourcing that share similar goals and aspirations aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. You can find out more about this on our website. Next slide. So please contact us to join the GSC's mission. There's some information here on the screen how you can reach out to us. Our two websites, gscouncil.org and GSC3S Awards, to take a look at some of the participants in our 3S Awards program. With that, I don't want to take up much more time because we have some really interesting guests for you guys. Just wanted to give you a little info on GSC. Thank you for attending, and now next slide, I'll pass this along to Grupo ASA.
Great, thank you very much, Lewis. Yes, please, Paul, we'll start with your presentation now. Thank you. Paul, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly now. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon to everybody. I'm speaking to you from Buenos Aires in Argentina, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very grateful to GSC, Wanda, and the whole team for bringing us and Latin America in a way to this discussion today. Can you please move to the next slide. My name is Paul Dougal. I'm Vice President of GA, or Grupo ASA, and I'm responsible for corporate development at GA. GA is, I'll tell you more about GA in a minute. Can you move the slide, please? There we go. And I'm responsible for sustainability at GA as well. Sustainability at GA actually is not a function, but part of our culture and the way we are. We were born with a series of values, some hard, some soft, which you can see on our website behind the acronym SPIRIT. But essentially, as the S of SPIRIT is to be a sustainable development organization, and we like to think of ourselves as an organization with a mission, a little bit in line with Lou's connection of profit, meaning, purpose. We are an organization that spans across Latin America, actually the Americas more recently because we opened offices in Miami. But it's a very young organization. We're going to be 25 years old next year. We have about 1,400 members that span the whole of the Americas and a few offices in Europe. The average age is 29 years old, so it is definitely a young organization. And we provide IT services to our clients, to large global and Latin American companies in Latin America, and from Latin America to the rest of the world. We do mostly North America and Europe, but next week we will be starting a rollout in the Middle East. So as you can see, we are a mid-sized company. We were introduced as a large company, but I like to think of us as a very dynamic, mid-sized and young company. Next slide, please. We adopted, there we go. We adopted 4 of the 17 strategic development goals last year as part of our mission going forward, which the one that has to do with quality education, good jobs and growth, responsible consumption, and partnerships, and that is essentially how we come forward and work with our community. We define ourselves as with the ability. We are a knowledge organization. We do consulting work, and so we have 3 pillars with which we work with our customers: technology, education, and knowledge. Without these 3, we cannot do what we do. So we try and leverage these 3 into pursuing these goals of the Global Compact. And we do so around these 4 topics on the left-hand side of your screen. Education at the forefront, which I'll speak to you in a minute. Transparency as a way of, as a behavior, as an attitude towards the societies in which we work in, basically our sustainability report. And we work very hard to provide quality employment, and we also work hard to improve the employment possibilities of others within the communities in which we work. And we also believe very strongly in public-private alliances. Next slide, please. Our flagship program in education is a program we called Formando Futuro, which in English is roughly. Can you move on to the next slide? I'm still on. Hello? There you go. Thank you. Formando Futuro is roughly translated into English as fostering a future. We are fostering a future for young, no, one behind, please, with young people, the younger generation in Argentina, in Chile, in Brazil, in Mexico, in Colombia. And basically, we use our knowledge and our education to work with these youngsters who are finishing their final year in secondary school. And we do a 10-week course with them, which is developed by us in partnership with grassroots foundations that are doing work with schools in these cities. And we basically try and narrow the gap of education for these kids as they are reaching that very tricky period when they finish high school and they either move into university education or get a job but stay away from the streets. We try and help them adapt through a corporate volunteer program. At GA, we have about 20% of our staff working with these kids, and basically providing those skills that they don't get at school, learning them how to be more self-confident, how to deliver a speech publicly, how to deal with an interview, and some rough skills in computer programming and communication. We help them reduce the chance of them not moving on to the next stage. And can you move? Well, stay here. So aside from our Formando Futuro program, which is now into its 6th year, and it covers about 6 cities that I mentioned, we also do secondary programs. We bring teachers into our offices, and we do teacher training so that they can go and work with these kids. We are helping a group of people who have video and audio skills, and we integrate them into our value chain, and we've created this impact sourcing model you can see called Meraki, where essentially we agreed to purchase from them most of our video and audio needs from them, providing them with not with helping them get a job, but actually giving them a job. And also we work, abriendo ventanas is in English means opening windows. We work with the Association of IT services firms in Argentina in a mentoring program, helping these kids, again, the same public, 16, 17-year-old kids in the Buenos Aires neighborhood, with our volunteers and volunteers of about 10 firms like Accenture, IBM, PwC, Hewlett-Packard, and so on, reduce their fears and their skills about coming into the job market. Next slide, please. And putting it all together, we believe very strongly in reporting and sharing our commitment and our activities with our community and our audiences. We work very hard to improve the quality of that report every year. Last year, we did our first completely digital sustainability report, which you can check into our website. It's produced in English, in Spanish, and in Portuguese. it's with the highest standards. It's GRI level 4, as you can see. We also became a member of the Global Compact in 2015, so that will be a part of this year's report. And we are extremely enthusiastic about how these practices and these activities and programs that we have and that we share with our consultants across Latin America makes a difference. And GSC for us has been a wonderful partner with which to share these experiences with other organizations and entities from around the world. So I appreciate so much your interest, and I look forward to getting any of your questions if you may have any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. We will now, I'm just letting people know, some of you can hear us, we're having some people unable to join the actual webinar, actually because we reached capacity, but we are sending out the PowerPoint to all registered participants right now, so that if anyone can hear us, they will soon get the PowerPoint in the inbox. They can follow the webinar by clicking through the slides that way. But also just to reiterate that we are recording it as well, so it will be sent out as a recording and a PDF slide deck to all registered participants following this. But with that, so we are now going to have from Birbal Gupta, who will be talking a bit from the SME supplier perspective on SDG implementation. Over to you.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Nice to join. So just a warning, I just joined Grayson full-time a couple of months ago as the Head of Social Innovation and Development, but have been a fan of Grayson and familiar with it for about 3.5 years or so since I was at the Clinton Global Initiative working on sustainable supply chains and social entrepreneurship. So really fun to be on the social enterprise side now, working really daily on a social responsibility in a community such as Yonkers, which I look forward to telling you about. Next, please. So Grayson, ever since the beginning, has had this mission-based hiring tagline. We don't hire people to bake brownies. We bake brownies to hire people. The mission-based hiring tagline you see here really goes very, very deeply into our business model, as we know that nothing really drives poverty reduction sustainably as much as access to jobs, increasing wages, for truly inclusive growth. And what we really strive to practice from our founding is a community-based development model that hopefully we certainly plan to scale, replicate further going forward. The macro context for Grayson's founding is also within a context of inner city Yonkers, deep intergenerational poverty, high crime, and the fact that we know that coming out of intergenerational poverty and places that have high crime and people coming out of a background with a criminal record have a very difficult job of time finding work out of jail, as well as a significant decrease in earnings with a criminal background, and that's something that we are working very hard to break going forward. Next, please. So very quickly, the founding of Grayson, as I said, is not only a mission-based hiring founding, but some of the key milestones in our background include a founding with a social mission by our founder, Bernie Glassman, in 1982, who, before things like impact investing and social enterprise were really popular in 1980, 1982, when it was pretty unheard of, really founded Grayson with a social impact and Zen mindfulness practice of thinking about a whole person, and not just through an employment perspective, but really is how do you take care of a person and a community that is deeply in poverty and in crime. So in thinking about our model, it was really in creating a bakery that created employment through a for-profit revenue model, but also through a nonprofit operating foundation, i.e. an NGO ownership structure that was able to also create programs in the community for workers as well as community members to provide social services ever since the beginning, really, for wraparound support for the individuals who are working as well as community members. And a couple of the milestones were in 2008, we became the first B Corporation certified in New York State. And in 2016, we were ranked in the top 10% of all rated B Corps, something that we really continue to strive on to become best in class. And in 2016, just a month ago, we launched our first vegan product, something that's pretty exciting, I guess, in the product community, something I'm somewhat new to. And of course, since 1989, we've had our longest running partnership with Ben & Jerry's, which I will certainly talk about a little bit more later, which was certainly connected most to us because of our social mission on mission-based hiring. Next, please. So that's that social mission. Why Yonkers? We are right next to New York City, and when you think about New York City and where Yonkers is based, it's right a mile or two north of New York City, which, yes, it has high poverty, income disparity itself, but New York City also does benefit from pretty significant, in comparison at least, investment dollars and grant dollars, which Yonkers, unfortunately, because of its location and its name and geography, unfortunately falls just outside of. And in comparison, Yonkers also does have pretty high poverty and income disparity, and in the late 70s also really suffered from high flight of manufacturing jobs. So pretty similar, I guess, as far as demographics. And next, quick fit as far as how does Grayson really fit into the SDGs construct. So we think the stars are our best guess so far, frankly, of how we think Grayson is trying to tackle the SDGs. Given that the SDGs themselves are a fairly new construct, we are certainly open to feedback, and we appreciate the fact that UNGC is open to offering us some feedback and some follow-up support in helping us think through the indicators better. But I would love to give you which ones we think are really material to the bakery side and which ones we think are supplementary through the foundation and social enterprise side. I think through the bakery, the revenue side, the ones that are probably the most material to our business are SDGs 8, 10, 11, 12, and obviously 17 through our partnerships, through our buyer partnerships. And then the ones that we're probably tackling more through our foundation and social enterprise side are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 16. And I will tell you more about that how, following up right after this. The point that I wanted to make about this is that the comprehensive model that we're creating through our hybrid structure is to really create that combination of worker benefit and community benefit to lift up the community as a whole. And these help to give us a common language that increasingly not only our buyer partners, but of course our funders on the social enterprise and foundation side are also starting to speak more of, right? Not only the SDGs, but the previous NDGs and public-private partnerships lingo over the last 10, 15 years has certainly permeated more of. Next, please. So how do we do this? It's really through our open hiring policy that has been in place ever since the very beginning of Grayson. Open hiring is where anyone can walk in off the street at Grayson and sign up for a chance at a job. And when the next available bakery job comes up, we call them and they get a chance at a job. And regardless of their background, their criminal record, their history, they get to come in and start on day one for an apprenticeship. And the key differentiator, though, for Grayson is that while many other enterprises will give a chance at employment, Grayson not only gives a chance at employment, it also does the next two pieces, which are the mentorship, what we call path-making support, and the support services that we've identified over 30 years as really the key risk factors for actually sustaining that employment over time to help break the cycle of poverty for those individuals and their families, which are subsidized childcare, access to affordable housing, continuous job training, and increasingly access to nutritious food support, which we are building out through our community gardens work. And whether you do this through your own enterprise or through partnerships with your local providers is something that, you know, is really probably unique to each enterprise. Next, please. This is just a visual of how open hiring works, which, of course, you're welcome to look at in more detail when you get the PowerPoint. It's really just to point out the fact that we have the apprenticeship piece first, mentorship, and then the full-time employment when the support services kick in after the apprenticeship period. Next, please. This is just a visual to give you a sense for, oh, one picture fell out, sorry. The fact that the bakery is represented on the left side, this is how Ben & Jerry's talks about our partnership, and on the right side is a little bit more of a sense for how our foundation supports our community through our gardens and our child care, our youth workforce development programs, that they really go hand in hand to support the whole person, the enterprise, the community for total upliftment. Next. These are some of the additional, next please. These are some of our workforce development, youth, just a quick sense of some of our community impacts for how we do our hand-in-hand work for that social enterprise and foundation side, obviously to complement the bakery side. Next. So how do we really manage our impact? It's really around the North Star of using our bakers as the focus and the focal point of our community and our social mission as the foothold we have in the community, because they are the open hired workers at Greyston, and striving to continuously improve on the open hiring policy through a commitment for job training, growth opportunities, social justice, through our sustainable manufacturing policies, our continuous drive for innovation within our manufacturing work, our partnerships, our product, new product lines, as well, obviously, as through each partnership that we line up. Next, please. And how does that translate into partnerships? Obviously, our longest running partnership is with Ben & Jerry's over 27 years or so, where Greyston is considered a values-led supplier, meaning that our mission and our triple bottom line is extremely important criteria for Ben & Jerry's when selecting vendors that align with their mission and values. And our other multi-year partnership is with Whole Foods, which sources not only our brownies, but also specific cookies that you can only find at Whole Foods. And through that production line, we actually also have a partnership with Whole Planet Foundation, where we work with them to provide microloans for women entrepreneurs around the globe. And so that's obviously where you can see that the mission-based hiring also supports their mission-based around the Whole Planet Foundation's work with entrepreneurs. Next, please. So to go further into one specific partnership, after joining forces with Ben & Jerry's, as we were linked to their linked prosperity model, some of the key pieces of their model that Greyston fits into are the ingredient sourcing and practices piece, the manufacturing practices, and the community and giving back practices work, where Greyston, obviously when Unilever purchased Ben & Jerry's, fit into an even larger supply chain. And when Unilever launched its 2020 Sustainable Living Plan, Greyston fit into three of Unilever's larger goals, which were the health and well-being goals for over 1 billion people, the aggressive environmental impact reduction goals, which I think most people are probably pretty familiar with Unilever and their benefit corporation activities, as well as Greyston and its own supplier code of conduct, which fits into Unilever's pretty progressive ones, around our work with non-GMO product certification, our flow cert work with fair trade, ensuring that stakeholders across our supply chain are really dealt with fairly in our own workforce development and employee progressive policies. Next, please. So as a benefit corporation, we obviously take our own impact assessment and metrics pretty seriously. And some of the places where we are pushing ourselves to be best in class are really around the Supplier Code of Conduct, which is modeled after the UN's Bill of Human Rights, also lining up pretty directly with Unilever's work on that effort, which pledges to treat employees fairly, not allow slavery in the supply chain, and in addition to allowing suppliers to join the B Corp community, achieve non-GMO certification, et cetera. Our work on environmental and health targets around GHG emissions, trying to work with employees and communities on a healthier lifestyle, our community gardens work. And one of the pieces we're working on next, which I'll talk about again, is hopefully our work on scaling open hiring as a policy to our own suppliers and vendors, as well as to area employers that we're starting to influence through our work with the Yonkers Chamber of Commerce. Next, please. So what's next for Greyston? Scaling and replicating our open hiring work is one of our biggest social innovations to contribute to sustainable supply chain work. Next. How are we doing that? So just 2 days ago, really new, you're the first one hearing about it beyond the press release, we were invited to a roundtable where we helped the White House launch the Fair Chance Pledge, which is, you're welcome to look it up online and potentially join it yourself if you're interested. But it's a step past the ban the box effort, which basically delays, asks employers to delay asking about the criminal record of an individual until at least later in the hiring process, when you've given an individual a fair chance at an employment first. And Greyston, of course, goes much beyond that, as I explained earlier, and has the longest history in the U.S. of actually practicing that progressive effort. Next. And we are launching next year our Center for Open Hiring to really model and scale and replicate that effort of open hiring through not only our own efforts, but also through other employers, to really serve as a national and international effort to work on scaling the progressive open hiring and alternative hiring models. Next. And this is just a construct of how we hope to do that, but basically the point is to really de-risk for other employers, HR professionals, executive education efforts through Babson University, which we're launching next month, business schools, other accelerators, and to potentially incubate and accelerate other social businesses to learn from our open hiring efforts and modify or to scale and replicate those efforts, not only nationally, which we get a lot of demand for on a daily basis. How do you practice this? Help us do it, but potentially internationally as well, and through other public-private partnerships. And next, almost done. So hopefully this is our influence strategy. I think it should say one open hire, one brownie at a time. But we really want to be able to help not only other social enterprises, but other employers, other buyers who not only source delicious brownies and cookies from us sustainably, but also really hire their workers progressively for themselves the way that we do. UN Secretary Ban Ki-moon acknowledged that in order to accomplish the SDG agenda, we really need to push business to do business unusual. And we think that Greyston's open hiring policy is really one that's going to help push that effort to do community development impactfully in a different and better way that's really going to help solve poverty to the next level that we haven't been able to do in a way that we think we can really contribute to. So last slide, please. We're in Yonkers, just a mile north of New York. Please come visit, eat some delicious brownies, and ask any questions about open hiring as our contribution to sustainable supply chain following this webinar directly or in the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bubba. That was very interesting and a great example. I do want to call upon participants to, if they have any burning questions for any of the speakers, to please feel free to write those now so we can start picking them up. But before we do go to the Q&A, we do have a special intervention from Mariana from the UNDP. Sorry. So, Mariana, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, and greetings from Istanbul. Thank you, Anita, for an introduction and an opportunity to present the United Nations Initiative on Sustainable Procurement in the Health Sector, which we shortly named the SPHS. As participants of today's webinar had an opportunity to hear from companies' perspectives how to align their supply chains to the newly adopted Sustainable Development Goals, I would like to present to you the UN perspective on how we, in collaboration with the private sector and technical experts, work on sustainable supply chains in the global health sector. Most importantly, I'm also going to present to you today shortly how we link our work to all 17 SDGs. Next slide, please. Thank you. With the newly adopted SDGs, the SPHS Initiative represents a great example of financing and implementing the SDGs by gathering the public and private sector connected to sustainable health procurement. The SPHS Initiative brings together 10 member agencies, out of which are 7 United Nations agencies and 3 global multilateral health financing institutions. Jointly, they have an annual purchasing volume of $5 billion, which is used as a strategic leverage to introduce sustainable procurement practice in the global health aid market. The SPHS members work in collaboration to support the implementation of the Agenda 2030. Each of these agencies offer its unique expertise and commitments to work collaboratively to achieve shared results. We strive for innovation at the global, regional, and national levels, including in the use of data and technologies, to open up the agenda to the best evidence, expertise, and partnerships which countries wish to assess. The SPHS has also a global network of more than 3,500 renowned institutions and technical experts, which are coming from all 5 UN regions and from 92 countries. Our network is highly diversified. It brings together global leaders, policymakers, technical experts, the private sector companies, NGOs, academia, and many others. And this is why we invite all the webinar participants to become a part of our network and collaborate with us on sustainable supply chains in the global health sector. So how do we get there in practical terms? In collaboration with our global network, the SPHS works on a number of technical projects, initiatives. We develop tools and platforms, and we organize as well capacity development sessions. To facilitate this collaboration and discussions on the implementation of the SDGs, we have developed a novel online engagement platform, which you can see here. It's savinglivessustainably.org. This is our key aim, to save lives but in a sustainable manner. The platform serves as a knowledge hub on sustainable production and procurement, and it offers you hundreds of examples of cross-cutting innovations, the market intelligence, and has a business-to-business approach. We are engaged in 9 focus areas, which you can see here on the screen, and by exploring our platform, you can find examples of how other public institutions, hospitals, private sector companies are contributing to sustainable development goals, and how this jointly result in a more sustainable supply chains as well. Beside the SDGs and these 9 focus areas, which are, just to mention, the initial focus areas, which will be expanded in the future, you can also explore the content based on the geographical location which is of interest to you. And last but not least, very importantly, you can as well join our platform and share your own examples of not only initiatives, but also projects, trainings, events, and any success stories just by simply registering. Given the short time to present such a comprehensive initiative as the SPHS is, I just want to invite all the participants to join the conversation and get in touch with the SPHS Secretariat. You can also follow our work on many different platforms, and 6 of them are mentioned here on the right side of the slide. You can see 6 icons. Lastly, I will use the opportunity as well to highlight that the Global Compact is an important strategic partner to the SPHS, and that in our work, we strongly encourage all companies operating in the health sector to become signatories of the Global Compact, and we're actively engaged in our projects, initiative, and capacity development sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mirjana, and thank you for that call out to joining Global Compact. Much appreciated.
Yes, of course.
We are running out of time, but we actually don't have any typed questions from any other participants as of yet. We still have a couple of minutes if anyone would like to raise a question to any of the specific panelists. But in the meantime, I just wanted to, maybe we can do one round of questions, one question for in particular Paul and Birbal, who just from the business perspective, they kind of covered it in their presentations, but given that we have so many companies who've joined the webinar today, in addition to other stakeholders, we have academia, we have UN representatives, etc. But for businesses, just in like in a one or two sentence, what would you say would be, or what would you advise them to be the first step to understand how the SDGs are relevant to them from their perspective? So maybe Paul, would you be able to address that question?
Yeah, certainly. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, I can tell you the way we did it, and of course I think it's different to the way others may have approached. We chose to focus on a smaller group of those goals that we felt that we could make a difference. Because of course we are very supportive of all of the 17, but we felt, given our size, being 1,500 member organization, we're not small, and we're very spread out, and we look to pick those goals which are closely related to our DNA, which, as I mentioned, is closely related with technology, education, and knowledge, and that's where we think we can make a difference and really put more energy behind those sustainable goals. That would be my recommendation. Even if you picked one goal and really put all your energy behind that one goal, that would be a valuable option.
Thank you so much, Paul. Birbal, would you like to add something to this?
Sure, happy to. Yeah, I don't disagree with Paul at all. Obviously, my slide probably looks a little bit less strategic in comparison. I think the way that I differentiated it for Grayson was probably just because of our hybrid model was what we tackled probably most through the for-profit bakery structure versus what we tackled through our nonprofit social enterprise foundation side. And it's slightly different, but they're meant to be complementary, right? Because of what we are structured to do and how they are structured to complement each other. So I would agree with Paul that depending on what your business is structured to do, focus on what you are entirely, what is entirely core to your business, and try to be as focused as possible and put everything you've got into as few as possible. I don't disagree with that at all. That said, I think for Grayson, we are trying to do a community development model that is focused on a smaller community versus a national scale for now, and really prove a comprehensive community development model. So it's structured differently for now.
Great, thanks very much. We do actually have quite a few questions coming in now as well from participants, which is great. And if we do run, I think we probably will not be able to cover all of them, but we're happy to also forward the questions to the speakers afterwards to see if they can address them as well. But just one actually from Mirjana. There's a question to you about whether you'll be presenting at any pharma industry conferences in the near future, if there are any other ways that others can get engaged in what you're doing?
Thank you for the question. Yes, we have been engaged already in the pharma conferences. One of them is, for example, the FIP, which took place in Düsseldorf last year in October. This year, we have not set the FIP attendance yet, but there are a number of other events. I think we are very open for suggestions, even if someone would be interested for us to attend. I can say that this month we have been engaged substantively in the debate on the water and pharmaceuticals, specifically in the conference which took place in Uppsala this week, as well as we will be attending conference in Belarus by the end of April as well.
Great, thanks very much, Manjana. Another question to all, actually. Is there anyone who'd like, of the panelists, who'd like to speak on this? It's kind of it's suggested previously as well, but maybe on how companies can determine the material SDGs for their core business. So we're saying that they need to identify that, but what can help them identify what's material to them? I'll open up to any other panelists who want to address that.
Hi, this is Lou. I can try to take that one quick.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question because all SDGs will not be relevant to all companies. So it is important, just as you would go through a materiality assessment to determine, the ESG issues that are material to your organization, you would go through the same type of process with the SDGs. I think also the SDG Compass program is a great place to start. There's some great information in there on how a company would go through that type of process. So I recommend that you definitely take a look at the sdgcompass.org. There are other resources out there. You can also, I would say that this should be a stakeholder inclusive process, so you should work with your suppliers, with your customers, with your employees. You should engage with the community that you operate in to determine what are the SDGs or what are the underlying issues from the SDGs. Remember, there's 169 targets here that are relevant to the particular business in the industry that you're in. There can be differences depending on the geography and the countries that your business is located in, obviously the sector that you operate in. There will be different strengths and weaknesses that your company inherently has, risks and opportunities that are there due to the nature of your business. So there are processes such as stakeholder inclusive materiality processes where one can go through a similar type of process to determine which SDGs are relevant. There's also data out there. One of the things I would recommend to start with is take the SDG Compass. They link the GRI G4 indicators with the SDG targets. So if you're publishing a GRI G4 report, one of the easy ways to get started is to take a look at your GRI content index and look at the indicators which you've chosen are material for your company and you've decided to disclose on, and which of those indicators are actually connected or linked to particular SDG targets. And this, again, you can find in the SDG Compass. If you can see what you're already reporting on, what you're already focusing on through your materiality assessments and your sustainability program, and you can link it with these SDGs, you can make the whole process synergistic and make everything work together. I'll leave it at that. If you'd like to talk more about that, I'd be happy to continue the conversation offline. I'm definitely available for anyone that'd be interested in discussing that. I think we can cover way more detail, but I think SDG Compass would be a perfect place to start.
Great, thanks so much, Lou. Yeah, absolutely. And also, we're getting some questions even about other activities and events on this topic around the world. I mean, other panelists might know of other things, but obviously from the Global Compact perspective, we would invite you to visit our website and connect with our local networks on the ground. So we do have, as mentioned, over 80 local networks around the world. And we have a big campaign going on now about making global goals local business. So we would really encourage you to connect with our local networks to see what they're doing, any activities, workshops, or events going forward, but also subscribing to the Global Compact Bulletin. I'm sure many of you already do, where you'll get any updates from the Global Compact perspective on upcoming events, etc. I have one last question before we run out of time, but as mentioned, please feel free to reach out to us afterwards and we can try and cover any of the questions offline. But this is another question again to Borbol, if that's okay. Whether you've conducted any impact assessment on the work that you're doing. We had some questions about whether you know the numbers or how many of the former convicts that you hire, how many, fall back into, the crime statistics, etc. Borbol, have you, are you there? Oh, maybe you're on mute. Maybe you're on mute. We can't hear you. Okay. Well, maybe we can take that answer offline. We can email it to you and we can get more information about the impact assessment. So it is past 11 o'clock now in New York time. So we will be ending this webinar. But with that, I would like to thank everyone so much for joining and for the speakers for also participating on this panel and for the Global Sourcing Council for co-hosting this webinar with us. We will be, as mentioned, recording it and sending it out in the next coming days to all registered participants, and it will be on our website as a resource as well. And just to reiterate some of the things that also Lou mentioned, the key elements here are really that we're not talking about reinventing the wheel. The SDGs, what they mean to companies, it really is about just looking back at what you are doing. Many companies, you'll find that you're already, working to advance many of the goals, and they are probably not all equally relevant to your business. It's just a matter of identifying which ones are the most relevant, which ones where your business can have the biggest impact, and using what you're already doing and perhaps scaling that up through your supply chains and your supply chain sustainability programs to help advance the SDGs. And a key element of this is through partnerships, identifying your supplier partnerships, UN partnerships, etc. And really, this is a key factor to success in securing the world we want, to paraphrase the UN. So with that, again, thank you so much to everyone who joined and to all the speakers. And we will send out all the material in due course. So have a further great day, everyone, great evening, wherever you are. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.